Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be comparing the one and only, the GOAT of bodybuilding, Arnold, versus the King of bodybuilding, Ronnie Coleman. I'm going to be using various years for both men and analyze their physiques. This comparison really isn't about whose physique is better, as I know there will probably be people who say, you can't compare the two because they are from different eras. This video is purely seeing the difference between the eras and the progress bodybuilding has made by looking at these two goats of the sport of bodybuilding. Before I start this video, I just want to ask if you guys could take a second to like and subscribe. Many of you guys know that I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the summer, and it would really mean a lot to me. So, without further ado, let's get into this comparison between the two goats of bodybuilding. So here is the first round of the front double bicep shot. We have Arnold from 1974 and Ronnie from 2003. Wow, guys, take a look at Arnold. Those ripped and separated quads, tiny midsection relative to that huge upper body, beautiful flaring lats, and huge biceps, and just big guns in general. The conditioning for Arnold looks amazing too. I mean, very impressive for Arnold. Now, the King Coleman, I mean, what can you really say? Coleman has the amazing bicep peaks, the separated arms, the mass, the conditioning. Look at those quads, unbeatable. The midsection, though, is terrible for Coleman. The lats flare out amazing. 2003 Ronnie Coleman was just phenomenal in every aspect apart from the midsection. 30-year difference between these guys, 29 to be exact. And Arnold really not losing here. Let's go to another shot. Once again, guys, here Arnold looks amazing, picturesque and statuesque, and looking very pleasing. This is from the 1975 Olympia, and Ronnie Coleman's from the 1999 Olympia. And Ronnie now looks so good. Look at the biceps and triceps, just as big, maybe as in 2003, but with a very small midsection. Definitely less mass and then in 2003 for Ronnie Coleman, but looking even better in my opinion. The smaller versions of Ronnie looked so much better than the, later versions. But once again, Ronnie Coleman has the conditioning edge and the muscularity edge. And, with that small midsection, just looks unbeatable. But, these two pictures, I can't really award a winner because on one hand, you have this beautiful flow and shape, and on the other, you have mass and conditioning. And I really just think these two pictures serve as a testament to how far bodybuilding has progressed. And I was just talking about the progress that has been made, and here in the front lat spread, you guys can clearly see that. Here we have 1974 Arnold up against the 2003 Ronnie Coleman, and wow, Arnold looks so proportional and amazing here with amazing conditioning throughout the chest and shoulders. You can see the striations there. The arms look to be in good conditioning, and those legs, guys. Wow, I'm once again really impressed as to how big those quads look. I mean, and separated. They almost look reminiscent of like Tom Platz with just a little bit less of a quad sweep. Really great stuff for Arnold, but look at Ronnie. Ronnie just doesn't have any proportion to him. It's just, muscle on top of more muscle with inhuman striations throughout the shoulders and pecs. I mean, that is crazy. The lats fill out perfectly for Ronnie, and those quads are just alien-esque. I mean, what more can you say? This really is progress. Now let's go to another shot of the front lat spread. Okay, so here in 1975, Arnold once again holds on to that, statuesque presence with a beautiful flow and everything like that, but he does lose a bit of mass from 1974. Now, Ronnie is also a bit downsized from 2003, but still holds on to the beautiful conditioning. And Ronnie looks amazing here, much better than he did in 2003, and that's personally just because, his midsection is smaller, and also he's executing the shot a bit better for my preference. Now, Arnold, he looks amazing, right? You can't knock on him. He looks great. Maybe a bit more quad sweep and just larger legs in general, but overall looking very proportional. Ronnie, too, looking very great, too. But once again, progress, guys. Progress has been made in the last 20, 30 years between these two pictures, and it's very impressive to see how far the human body can be pushed when comparing the two GOATs, the two best of all time. In the side chest pose, we have these two legends hitting amazing side chests. I mean, look at Arnold, amazing. That huge chest, unbeatable by today's standards. The conditioning, a little lackluster, but, that silhouette that he creates is so remarkable. Ronnie here looks great. I personally don't, necessarily like the way he's hitting it compared to Arnold, but it is what it is. The more modern way of hitting it, I guess, displaying more of the side of the body. Arnold is displaying, just that chest perfectly, though. I mean, look at the way that it sits on his, expanded rib cage. So, so good here. The leg on Arnold, too, looks really big from the side. Hanging hamstring for Ronnie, though, is unbeatable, and so is the conditioning. I mean, obviously, Ronnie is going to run away with the conditioning throughout all of these shots. It's pretty clear, but Arnold has that shape, and, wow. Let's take a look at another shot. And here we have a 1975 for Arnold and a 1999 for Ronnie. And wow, guys, take a look at Ronnie. In my opinion, if I was doing a serious comparison, Ronnie, of course, flatlining Arnold. Not many people can beat Ronnie in this 1999 side chest pose. For, if you take my money for it, my word for it, look at Ronnie. I mean, the chest super striated. Honestly, though, Arnold's fart pec is just as striated as Ronnie's. But back to Ronnie. I mean, the conditioning is off the charts. Every single muscle is defined. Everything looks great. His midsection has never looked better. This is, in my opinion, Ronnie's best side chest pose. I mean, he looks so good. Arnold looks great in his own right, having an amazing chest here, probably a better looking chest, aesthetically speaking. And Arnold definitely has a very aesthetic pose here, too. But Ronnie, I mean, even though I don't necessarily like the way he's hitting it, you cannot beat that conditioning and muscle mass that he carries. So, Ronnie would be winning this pose easily, but remember, 20-year difference, 30, 20, 30 years between these pictures roughly. So just remember that. And here we have a 1974 Arnold versus a 2003 Ronnie in the rear double biceps shot. Taking a look at Arnold, he has an amazing Christmas tree region with phenomenal conditioning throughout the upper body. Where he doesn't have amazing conditioning is obviously in the hamstrings and glutes, where Ronnie Coleman is absolutely and utterly destroying him. It's not even funny. But that, of course, is because of, modern practices and modern judging criteria. As you know now today, people care a lot about the hamstrings and glutes being ripped and striated. However, back in the day, they didn't even pose them. They didn't even care. They hid away the glutes like Arnold is doing there. But, wow, Arnold looks amazing in the upper body, having arms and a back that looks like, they're carved straight out of granite and marble. And that Christmas tree region is so perfect. Ronnie looks great too in the back. I mean, there's really not much to be said. Ronnie has one of the best backs of all time. And honestly, if Arnold had a bit more mass on that back, plus a bit more hamstring and glute definition, well, a lot more hamstring and glute definition and bigger legs, he would definitely be a force to be reckoned with even in the present day. Let's take a look at another shot though. Here's a 75 for Arnold and a 99 for Ronnie, and wow, look at Arnold's upper body here. I mean, he looks so good like he did in the other shot. That Christmas tree is one of the best of all time, and those lats are just perfect. Everything is so proportional for Arnold. Even the legs don't look all too bad here. The calves now, we can see the calves so much better, and look at them, they are huge. Ronnie has some huge calves too, though. King Coleman is definitely winning in the lower body, having the amazing hamstrings and glutes and pretty decent calves. And of course, he's winning in the upper body. I mean, amazing, phenomenal back and huge, dominant arms. These backshot comparisons really highlight the progress that has been made throughout the sport of bodybuilding. Posing technique, conditioning, muscle mass, all things that have just kept on improving. Whether it be for better or for worse, the sport of bodybuilding has evolved and it will just continue to evolve. If I were a golden era judge, I would most definitely go with Arnold because he displays exactly what they were looking for back in the day. Nothing overdone, but with beautiful proportions and lines. But if I was a modern day judge, even up until the modern day, the current day, I would still choose Ronnie because he displays freakish mass and conditioning. In this abs and thigh shot, Arnold is hands down flat out defeating Ronnie Coleman. Even though he doesn't have the best quads, even though this is 1974, his best version, his quads are getting demolished by Ronnie Coleman's. However, that midsection is super small, the abdominal development and separation is perfect, and those obliques look really ripped and conditioned, and the V-taper is just superior, so much better than Ronnie Coleman's. Ronnie Coleman has an amazing set of lats there that flare out very well, but that huge midsection really takes away from the V-taper that could be created, and the midsection itself is just not aesthetically pleasing whatsoever. However, those thighs are super dominant and are smoking Arnold, like I said. So what do you guys prefer? Do you prefer the bigger, more dominant thighs and arguably better conditioning for Ronnie, or do you prefer the more aesthetic Arnold? And for me, I really think if you put these two pictures and gave them to anyone, most people, if not all, would choose Arnold. So that really shows you guys that the golden era aesthetics with these more aesthetic shots really dominate over the newer, more massive guys that really lose their shape for mass. Here in the most muscular shot, we have a photo shoot 1974 picture for Arnold and a 2003 on-stage Mr. Olympia shot for Ronnie Coleman. Wow, guys. I mean, Ronnie Coleman in this most muscular shot in 2003 is so crazy. Look at the width that he has, how big his shoulders are. I mean, his shoulders are just as big as his head, if not bigger than his head. And those arms are so massive. He's conditioned. He has the mass. I mean, what more can you say? Arnold looks so proportional in this shot, but he doesn't really have the mass to stand up to Ronnie. And of course, that is something that we all expect, as gear usage, stuff like that wasn't as prevalent back in the day. They weren't running as much gear back in the 70s as they would be in, 2003, the modern era. So clearly an advantage to Ronnie Coleman in that aspect. But I mean, wow, take a look at Ronnie, guys. Phenomenal. One of the best, most muscular shots, crab most muscular shots of all time, in my opinion. Arnold looks great too. Let's go to another shot. Here we actually just have a different pick for Arnold, and wow, he looks great now. I mean, he looked great in the other shot, but he looks a lot better here, but not as good as Ronnie in terms of the mass. Definitely has great conditioning though, and if you preferred the aesthetics of Arnold, you would go with Arnold. If you preferred the mass, you go with Ronnie. Arnold, for my money, doesn't have any flaws in this shot. His legs look huge, arms look huge, chest striated perfectly, and conditioning is on point. Ronnie, though, has a very big flaw, a very glaring one at that, which is his midsection, which is very clear to see. So, it's up to you. What do you prefer? Aesthetics, you go with Arnold. If you prefer mass, you go with Ronnie. So that about does it for this comparison. You guys may have noticed that I didn't give a pose specifically to a single person, and that is because, the criteria back in the day was different. The golden era looked for different things, and the modern era looks for different things. And, if I were to judge it one way or the other, it would be unfair to each guy. Because I can't just judge both of these guys under one era's judging criteria, as that would, of course, be unfair to one or the other guy, I can't really objectively say who is better. Subjectively speaking, though, I will tell you that I prefer Arnold because I prefer his flow and his shape, and he's the reason why I started working out after I watched Pumping Iron. So, Ronnie, though, I can't really say anything negative about him. He brought that sheer mass and conditioning that no one could really ever replicate, and for that reason, in my opinion, he is probably the GOAT of bodybuilding, the best of all time. He would demolish Arnold in a competition if you were to put them into the, modern day judging criteria. And, quite possibly he might have even demolished him in the golden era just because of how freaky he was. But that's just solely my opinion. So I hope you guys liked this video. Please don't take it all too seriously. It's all in good fun. And if you really did enjoy the video, please consider liking and subbing. It really means a lot to me. And with that, I am out. Thank you for watching and have a good day or night.